This is Dr. Arna, working as Associate Professor in Aditya University. Let us continue with Polymer Chemistry, Module 2. So, here we will see how the polymers are prepared. Let us see under the heading Methods of Polymerization. As we know, polymerization is a process of conversion of monomer into polymer, which are mostly exothermic reactions. The main polymerization process is given below. Before we go for the polymerization process, let us see how many types of polymerization do we have. There are two types of polymerization, one is homogeneous and the other one is heterogeneous. So, let us see what is meant by homogeneous polymerization. In homogeneous polymerization, only one phase is involved, that is monomer the catalyst or whatever is needed in polymerization, if they are in the same phase, if they are in only one phase, it is known as homogeneous polymerization. Let us see what is heterogeneous polymerization. In heterogeneous polymerization, we see that more than one phase is involved. That is, if the monomer is in one phase and the initiator or catalyst are in different phases, then we call it as heterogeneous polymerization. So, we have in detail what is heterogeneous polymerization. So, heterogeneous polymerization is of two types. The one is emulsion polymerization and the other one is suspension polymerization. Let us see what is emulsion polymerization. In emulsion polymerization, the monomer is dispersed in aqueous phase by an emulsifying agent. So, here the emulsifying agent such as soap or detergent is been used. And along with this, we have the initiator radicals like hydrogen peroxide and persulfate are added. These are added in aqueous phase and they diffuse into soap micelles, which contains the monomer molecules. As this polymerization proceeds, more and more monomers migrate into micelles to continue the reaction. When new radical diffuses into the micelles, radical combination occurs and the polymerization reaction is terminated. We see that in this emulsion polymerization, extremely high molecular weight polymers are formed. This method is widely used in industry for manufacturing water-based paints or adhesives. Monomers such as vinyl chloride, vinyl acetate, butadiene are polymerized by this technique. Here we have a picture of emulsion polymerization taking place. So, here we can see in the reaction vessel, we do have the monomer, we do have the radical initiator and we do have a surfactant. And we can clearly see that a monomer is present inside the micelle. So, inside this micelle, we see polymerization continues and when the polymer is formed, we can see the breaking up of micelle, hence we can separate the polymer from this reaction vessel. Let us see what are its advantages and disadvantages. Coming to advantages, we see that this is a high molecular weight polymer is obtained by emulsion polymerization. And we see that this is having high polymerization rates. And in this emulsion polymerization, we have a medium viscosity polymer is obtained. And now let us discuss about its disadvantages. Coming to disadvantages, we see that in this emulsion polymerization, the surfactant is very difficult to remove from the reaction vessel. And not only the surfactant, it is very difficult to remove water from the reaction vessel. Now, let us see the other type of polymerization, which is known as suspension polymerization. In suspension polymerization, the monomer is dispersed as large droplets in water and is kept in suspension by mechanical agitation using stabilizers such as gelatin or water-soluble cellulose derivatives. The initiator used remains soluble in monomer, which initiates polymerization in each droplet. The polymer is obtained as spherical beads. This technique is cheap as it involves water as solvent. This method is limited to water insoluble monomers such as vinyl chloride, vinyl acetate and styrene. So, here we have a clear picture showing the suspension polymerization, where we have the reaction vessel in which we take the organic phase, that is the monomer, which is being dispersed in aqueous phase, that is water. And we have a mechanical agitator. So, here we can see that the monomer is being dispersed as water droplets, as small droplets, and this polymerization will continue by adding the stabilizer and the initiator, and finally we can see that the polymer particles are formed. Now, let us discuss about its advantages and disadvantages. Coming to advantages, this method is cheap and the heat of polymerization is absorbed by water and the product is in the form of beads. So, we see that in suspension polymerization, the polymer is obtained in the form of beads. And coming to disadvantages, purity of the sample is low and polymer cannot be isolated easily. So, these are the advantages and disadvantages of suspension polymerization. Now, let us move to another type of polymers, mostly it is known as the plastics. So, coming to plastics, as we know that they are the class of polymers that can be shaped into desirable form by the application of heat and pressure in the presence of catalyst. So, here it is very important that for a polymer we need heat and pressure in presence of a catalyst. Plastics are obtained by compounding with several ingredients in which resin form a major part, which is the basic binding material. That is the reason why the plastics are known as resins. So, resin is the other name given for plastics. Now, let us see what are its advantages and disadvantages. Coming to advantages, plastics are recyclable. As they can be melted and reused, they are recyclable. And we see that plastics can be incinerated and they are durable and resistant to weather conditions. These are its advantages. And coming to disadvantages, it takes a long period to biodegrade and plastic manufacturing process causes harm to environment. And the other disadvantage is it is low heat resistant, combustible, show deformation under the load. And finally, we see that there are embrittlement at low temperature. These are the advantages and disadvantages of the polymers which are known as plastics. Now, let us discuss about the uses of plastics. Plastics are used for making electrical goods, not only electrical goods, we can also make furniture using these plastics. They are also used in making of special types of paints and they are used in making of household articles like combs, toys, toothbrushes. They are also used for making synthetic fibers like terling, nylon, etc. So, we have saw few applications or uses of the polymer which is known as plastics. Now, let us discuss what is the classification given for plastics or resins. As we know, plastics are of two types. One is thermoplastic and the other one is known as thermosetting resin. So, now let us see what is a thermoplastic resin. Thermoplastic resins are those which can be softened on heating and hardened on cooling reversibly. The same thing can happen. So, we see that thermoplastics are the materials which become soft on heating and become hard on cooling. And thermosetting resins are those which do not become soft on heating and they never melt once they set. So, this is a very important point to remember, that thermosetting plastics are those which become soft on heating and they never melt once they set. Now, let us make a classification for plastics which have been divided into two types, that is thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. So, we see that thermoplastics are formed by addition polymerization only. This is the only polymerization technique by which the thermoplastics are being prepared, and thermosetting are formed by the condensation polymerization. So, we see that the thermosetting polymers are formed by condensation polymerization. The thermoplastics contains long chain linear polymers with negligible crosslinks. We see that the structure of thermoplastic is linear with the temporary crosslinks, whereas thermosetting plastics have a three-dimensional network structures. We see that thermosetting plastics are having a structure which is a three-dimensional in structure. And thermoplastics become soft on heating because secondary forces between the individual chains can break easily by heat, pressure or both. So, it is very easy making the breaking up of bonds in a thermoplastic, and we see that the conditions are heat, pressure or sometimes both. And coming to thermosetting, their crosslinks and bonds retain their strength on heating, hence they do not become soft on heating. So, in thermosetting polymers, we see that the bond strength becomes strong on heating, and that is the reason why they do not become soft on heating. And coming to the next point, thermoplastics can be softened, reshaped and reused. And coming to thermosetting, they cannot be reshaped and reused. And thermoplastics are usually soft, weak and less brittle, whereas thermosetting are usually hard, strong and brittle. And coming to the solubility of thermoplastics, they are soluble in some organic solvents, whereas thermosetting plastics are insoluble in almost all organic solvents. Now, let us see what are the polymers which come under thermoplastics. For example, we have polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride and cellulose derivatives. And thermosetting, we do have the polymer bakelite and polyester. So, these are the examples of thermosetting plastics. Now, let us see some individual polymers preparation properties and uses. Under this, we have one such polymer which is known as bakelite. As you know, bakelite is the name of the scientist who has prepared this polymer. Now, let us see the preparation of the polymer which is known as bakelite. Bakelite is being prepared by condensing phenol with formaldehyde in presence of acidic or alkaline catalyst. So, in the preparation of the polymer bakelite, we do have the monomers which are known as phenol and formaldehyde. Along with these two monomers, we need acidic or alkaline medium which is going to act as catalyst. The polymerization takes place in 3 stages. So, we see that bakelite is prepared in 3 stages. Stage 1 is In this stage, we see that phenol reacts with formaldehyde in presence of acid or alkali to produce orthohydroxymethylphenol and para-hydroxymethylphenol. So, in the first stage of this preparation, bakelite is formed as orthohydroxymethylphenol and para-hydroxymethylphenol. And coming to stage 2, we have ortho and para-hydroxymethylphenol which are heated to produce straight chain resins by condensation, which is known as Novolac. So, this orthohydroxymethylphenol or para-hydroxymethylphenol are heated where we get a linear chain which is known as Novolac. And stage 3 is further heating of Novolac in presence of formaldehyde which produces bakelite. So, finally, in stage 3, we see that this linear polymer will change into a cross-linked polymer which is known as bakelite. So, here we have the chemical reactions shown in stage 1, 2 and 3. So, coming to stage 1, you can see that phenol is one monomer, formaldehyde is another monomer which reacts in presence of an alkali giving orthohydroxymethylphenol or para-hydroxymethylphenol. So, we can see that in this chemical reaction 80% we see the formation of orthohydroxymethylphenol, whereas 20% is para-hydroxymethylphenol. So, mostly orthohydroxymethylphenol will undergo the next stage of reaction. In this, we see that this orthohydroxymethylphenol will change into a linear polymer which is known as Novolac. So, this Novolac is further heated with formaldehyde where we have the bakelite formed where the linear polymer changes into a cross-linked polymer. So, this is how the structure of the polymer bakelite is, where it is having a 3-dimensional structure where the monomer is bonded to its neighboring monomers on either side. So, that is how we have a bakelite having a cross-linked structure. Now, let us see what are its properties. So, we see that this polymer is rigid, hard, scratch resistant, infusible, water resistant, insoluble solid. So, we see that this is a polymer which is rigid, hard, scratch resistant, infusible, water resistant and insoluble solid. So, this is resistant to non-oxidizing agents. So, this is a polymer which do not react with non-oxidizing agent, for example, sulfuric acid and salts and many organic salts. So, this polymer is attacked by alkalis due to presence of the free hydroxyl group. So, we see that this polymer reacts with alkalis as it is having the free hydroxyl group, and this polymer possesses excellent electrical insulator. It acts as an excellent electrical insulator and it is a very good adhesive. So, these are few properties of the polymer bakelite. And now let us discuss about its applications. For making electrical insulator parts like switches, switchboards, etc. So, this polymer is mostly used in making of electrical insulator parts like switches, switchboards. It is also used for making molded articles like telephone parts, cabinets for radio and television. This polymer is also used in making of paints and varnishes. It is also used as a hydrogen exchange resin in water softening. So, this polymer is also used as an adhesive for grinding wheels. So, these are few applications of the polymer which is known as bakelite. Let us see the preparation of another such polymer which is known as polytetrafluoroethylene, which is abbreviated as PTFE, which is also known as Teflon. Teflon is obtained by polymerization of tetrafluoroethylene under pressure in the presence of benzoyl peroxide as initiator. So here we see the chemical reaction taking place where tetrafluoroethylene is the monomer which undergoes polymerization in presence of benzoyl peroxide, which is going to act as initiator, and this changes into polytetrafluoroethylene or Teflon. Let us see its properties. Polytetrafluoroethylene has extreme toughness with high softening point, which is 327 degrees centigrade, and it is having high density of 2.3 gram per centimeter square, and strength is due to the presence of high electronegative fluorine atoms. So we see that polytetrafluoroethylene is a polymer which is having high softening point as well as high density and good strength just because of the presence of the electronegative fluorine atom. And it has excellent chemical resistance except towards alkali and hot fluorine. So we see that this Teflon do not react with chemicals except alkali and hot fluorine. Tetrafluoroethylene is having non-adhesive characteristics, where we see that it is a polymer which do not have sticky nature, which is non-adhesive characteristics. This is a polymer with excellent toughness and heat resistance. So we see that this is a polymer which is extremely having toughness and heat resistant, and it is also known for electrical insulation properties. So apart from its toughness, heat resistant, we see that it is also having insulation properties. Now let us discuss its uses. It is used as a non-stick coating for pans. So here we are discussing its few applications where it has been used as non-sticky coating for pans. It is also used as insulating material for motors, generators, wires and cables. As it is a good electrical insulator, it has been found that it has been used in making of motors, generators, wires and cables. It is used in non-lubricating bearings. It is also used in making of non-lubricating bearings. It is used in tank linings, gaskets, magnetic stirrer and coatings, etc. So these are the few applications of the polymer which is known as Teflon. Finally, let us see what is the summary of this module 2. So in this module, we see that we have discussed about the types of polymerization and the types of plastics and few individual polymers and their applications. Thank you.